What is up, guys, and welcome to sort of a tutorial, I guess you could say. I want to make a video on how I get into space early game when I start a new world, and this will work the same for pretty much everyone as long as you have, a basic base. Basic bases that I always start with after you get out of the little dropship is you start with the platform, you get a battery, and you get yourself a wind turbine, and you have power. Unlimited power because the wind turbine will always charge the battery. And then you go ahead and you move your survival kit, get an H2O2 generator, some storage, assembler, and refinery. The simple things is what you need to start building. So what I'm going to do today is freehand build a little hydrogen ship that can hopefully get into space. And I am in creative right now. I'm going to be switching over to survival once it comes time to actually fly the ship to see if it can actually get into space. And I don't have any assisting mods on aside from easy inventory, and there was some other one, something basic, I can't remember what it was. Automatic war pickup, which I don't even need on. But all I have is easy inventory right now, and I do highly recommend using easy inventory because it makes life a lot easier. But what I'm going to do while I'm in creative mode, and this applies for survival, obviously you'll have to weld all the pieces up, but the basic pieces for the ships that I build is a landing gear first. I start with a cockpit. I'm going to go ahead and use the industrial cockpit, it's a little easier. An H2O2 generator for the ship. Definitely need a hydrogen tank because without any assisting mods, you're going to need a hydrogen tank. Also, some hydrogen thrusters. So I'll use this one. And probably a medium cargo container for the ship so you can put some small amounts of whatever you find in space inside your ship. And also a battery. You'll only need one battery if your thrust source is just hydrogen, because your battery is only going to be getting used for producing more hydrogen from the ice that you stick inside the ship. So I like to start with the landing gear, which this is the wrong direction, so pretty lined up, and you just drop the landing gear. You don't have to weld the landing gear up unless you're going to be keeping it on the ship in survival, because even when you just place it, it locks, and then you can build off it. And when I do this, I also use the small blocks, and I'll build it up a little bit. That way it gives me room to build your cockpit. Now, if you're playing in survival, so you're gonna be placing all these blocks, and you're gonna have to weld them. Don't weld the cubes. You don't have to weld those because it's just holding what is gonna be the ship. And then next, actually, I'll get a little bit more in depth on this. When I build my cockpits, I like to put some junctions around it, and that gives me options for expanding the inventory system wherever I need it. So then you have these two right here on the sides, so you can go ahead and put the O2H2 generator first because you can't really see it, but on that back side it has two small ports that will line up perfectly. Actually, there we go, you can see them now. And if you're having issues with it lining up because it doesn't want to square onto it, just go ahead and take a block, put it there, and that will help it to line up. And then turn that. The two small ports will connect to the cockpit, and then you have the O2H2 generator here, followed by a hydrogen tank, which connects with the large to large, like so, and then you can put your large cargo on the back, like that. So it's a little bit long, but that's fine. And then with the last large part here on the back, that's usually where I will put the thruster, and this is going to be our primary push into space thruster right here. And that should be all you need for a really small ship like this. the connector, because you're going to want to put a connector on this thing at some point, most of the time I'll stick it underneath the cockpit right here, and that way it's a little bit easy to line up, because you're flying from here and you just bloop right down onto the connector. Now, as far as for this guy, I'm kind of just throwing this together real quick. It does need a battery, so the battery, it doesn't really matter where you put it. I think I'm probably going to just stick it right here on the back. Seems like a not too terrible of a spot. And because I'm in creative mode, the battery's full, and even though I didn't put ice in this, it works. There's no materials inside anything, so I guess that's just what creative does, and then it fills the hydrogen tank up too. Should be interesting. So when I switch to survival, the hydrogen tank's probably going to be full. That's fine. You don't want to take off into outer space anyways unless your tank is full, so that's okay. As far as the other thrusters, which is pretty much the gist of everything you need left to do, and I don't know how I want to do this quite yet. Conveyors are really easy to make, they're affordable. So as far as lifting thrust, let's go ahead and put some of these guys here on the side like that, and I'll probably do the same thing back here. Put a few right along that side there, and some of them right here, and then that gives me tons of spaces to put thrusters, and go ahead and put those there. So I think this, for lifting thrust, I'm probably gonna do, I won't have any large thrusters. I'm actually thinking I might. So if I go large and rotate it probably here. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and try this with only a bunch of small thrusters, because I'm curious. If I put like 4 right here and a few more here on this side and repeat, you want to mirror your ship so it's even, and then right here, that's gonna give me 14 small thrusters for lift, which is not terrible. Then I'm going to need side thrusters as well, but I'm also going to need forward thrusters to stop. So as far as the forward thrusters, or reverse thrusters if you will, let's go ahead and put those guys right here along the side. It's not the prettiest ship, but that's not what matters. You want functionality when you're first going into space and finding uranium and all the other precious resources. Alright, so then we're going to need some side-to-side thrusters. Let's do them right here on the sides, on the back side. Just like that. And then I can do my... there we go. Do our downward thrusters as well. Get a few of those, not quite as many as the lift thrusters. But in space where there's no gravity, you're going to want the ship to not just fly up and not be able to come down. And why not? You know, let's put a couple of small guys here on the back just to aid that big one. Get some side thrusters, and then, yeah, that's everything that you need for this thing to be able to fly. Up, down, side to side, forward, back. So, the other thing that you need... So we got the battery already, got the cargo container. Let's clear this stuff out. You're going to need a gyroscope, at least, probably for this ship. I'm going to put 2 of them. So I'll put one right there, kind of tucked away and hidden. And we'll go ahead and put another one right there as well. And then we're also going to want ore detectors, because if you're flying around asteroids, you want to be able to find the ore. 2 small ore detectors right there, and on the other side, just so everything looks nice and even. So we got the gyros, small ore detectors, H2O2 generator, plenty of H2 in storage here, a battery, and a medium cargo container, and it's not going to hold a lot, but that's fine. You don't want to hold too much stuff, especially if you're just starting out. You want the ship to be able to provide enough hydrogen to get out of the atmosphere. Coming back in, that's another story. That's going to be interesting. So, that's pretty much the gist of the basic ship that should be able to get into space. I'm not 100% sure on that, so we'll see. Also, another thing that is nice to add is a couple of spotlights. That way you can see when you're going around inside the asteroids and stuff. And for this ship, so actually it'll let us put them right there. That's pretty cool. So we'll just stick them here. And then you got yourself a couple of spotlights to see where you're going. Now once all of that stuff is done, you should be able to just brake. Yep, break the block, and the ship will hover on its own. Once you finish building the ship and it can idle, pretty much it can just sit there on its own, that is when I go ahead and throw the connector on, just like that. Yep, that's perfect. So that way, you know, you get done flying your ship around, and then you can go ahead and connect it onto the base by pretty much even early game. You don't have to have your connector hooked up to a bunch of stuff if all you need it for is to charge the batteries, especially with a ship that is solely H2 based, until you start connecting to deposit your ores automatically into the base. You can just stick a connector on top of some blocks and it will take the power from the base and charge your ship back up. So the battery, you know, you've been flying around trying to find all that uranium, you've explored 20,000 asteroids, and you finally found uranium. You're coming back and your battery is pretty low. You just come back, hook up, and it will recharge. You can also change the setting in there, which I will go ahead and show you. If you go to your control panel, you go to the battery, you can switch the charge mode here from auto to recharge, and it'll charge faster. On auto, it charges, if you're not going to be flying the ship for a while, just leave it alone. But if you're doing a few runs and you want to get that battery charged up as fast as possible, then you'll change this to recharge and your ship will crash. Just like that. I don't know if I damaged anything or broke anything. No, should be fine. But yeah, that's another thing. If you're hovering, don't switch your battery to recharge or discharge, because you'll crash and die. Aside from that, we got the gyros on. Let's do a quick test flight. It's not too bad. Move the mouse around. It actually spins pretty quickly. So one gyro probably would have been fine, but the more gyros you have, the more sensitive it is to movements, like the side to side and the scrolling of the mouse. So we'll fly this guy kind of woo. We'll just see how well it's working. It seems to be doing okay. Flies pretty well. Side to side is not too bad. Upwards thrust is actually really good. Backwards, not terrible. So this ship should be able to get to the outer space just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually hook this guy up to this frame thing here. Oh, and see, the ore detector is working. So there's nickel inside of this rock. I thought it looked kind of shiny. And you can see the spotlights. Very nice. It's actually a pretty cool ship. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna hook this up, and then I'm gonna switch to survival and see if this guy will get to space just fine. Hopefully it does. I threw it together really quickly, but it's actually not a bad ship. Also, before I do that, if you go to your G inventory while you're in the ship, you can change some of this stuff, like the connector. I like to put that on the hotbar with switch lock, as well as I don't think there's anything else on this ship necessarily that I really need to change. Oh, actually, go to the control panel real fast. The thrusters, I like to get all of the thrusters, select them all, make a group, some, simple thrust. Save that group, go back to G, go to groups, and move thrust into your hotbar as well, and you can toggle block on and off. So with the connector ready to, you hit 1, it connects, it's locked. And then with the thrusters, you can turn them off when you're not using them. And that way the ship just sits there, it's charging, you're not wasting all of your hydrogen with the thrusters being on, and it just makes it really easy. Let me go ahead and switch to survival, and we will see if this little ship that actually doesn't look that terrible. I was expecting some mutant of a ship, but this one doesn't look that bad. It's just a little explorer, and we'll go ahead and see if this super simple basic ship can get into outer space and come back. Alrighty, so I'm back in the world. It's survival time. I actually have an inventory now. I can't just spawn items as I want to. See, I can't build the block. So you got your ship, you're ready to see if it can make it into space. Go find you some uranium and platinum and all the good asteroid ores. Your tank is full, but that's it. You only have a full tank. So what you can do, and I did stick some ice inside of one of these things. So there's 5,000 ice right here. It's not a lot, but it'll work for what we're gonna do. Take the extra ice that you have, go ahead and throw it into your cockpit. It'll automatically suck out and go into the O2H2 generator, where it will automatically, with the battery, go ahead and replenish your hydrogen supply. I have not gone into space in a really long time without the hydrogen efficiency mod, so this should be interesting. Go ahead and select your battery, go back to auto, and turn your thrusters on, unlock, and hopefully, without burning too much hydrogen, all you want to do is just get into space. So take off like a rocket ship, far, far, far away. And you can see right under your cursor, there is your altitude. So 1,000, climbing, climbing, climbing. And then on the bottom right, where you see the little circle with the plus in it, just to the left of that it says P gravity, A gravity. So P gravity is like the gravity of the Earth that you're on. And actually, so turn dampers off, and as long as you're going straight, just keep going, and it shouldn't use quite as much hydrogen. When you turn the dampers off, you're going 99 meters a second. Kind of let off a little bit and then keep going. Sometimes I'll do this instead of just holding the button. I'll go and fly until point and turn. I'm going to turn dampers back on. So just keep going. As long as your altitude is climbing, you're good. And then hopefully the gravity will start to, there you go, it's starting to drop now. And we've still got 75% hydrogen in the tank. It is producing the hydrogen right now, but it's not producing fast enough. So climbing, almost 0.8 gravity. Another mod that I normally use is, I think it's called Speed of Light or something like that. And it takes away the restriction of your speed. So, you know, I'm hard charging right now, and I can only go 100 meters a second. With the Speed of Light mod, you can basically go unlimited speed as fast as your ship will allow you to go, which is nice because I would have been in space by now. But we're getting there. 0.6 gravity. I turn my dampers back off, that way I can kind of reserve a little bit of hydrogen. I'm coming down 60 meters a second. Go ahead and charge back up 100 meters a second, and you just keep doing that until you get outside of the gravity field, which should not be too much longer. 0.5. Turn my dampers back on just so I can get to going back up instead of getting pulled back into the atmosphere. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot longer to go into space without Speed of Light mod. Thing is a savior. Still climbing. So also, I probably should have done it, but if you start off and going like straight up, then you can leave the dampers off and you don't really have to worry about your ship trying to pull back into the atmosphere. As if when, like me, I left at an angle. So I'm still flying straight, but it is still pulling me down. And I can see an asteroid come into view on the left. So that means we're getting close. The further out of the gravity you get, obviously, the slower it takes for your ship to slow down because you're not being pulled as hard. And you can see the hydrogen consumption isn't going nearly as much. It's actually going up a little bit because we're not burning nearly as much hydrogen to get into space. A much bigger asteroid just appeared right above me, so that's nice. And some of the asteroids are going to start spawning and you'll still have gravity. So what I like to do is go until I'm at complete zero gravity and then I start exploring asteroids and stuff. Otherwise your ship's going to be fighting with just that little bit of gravity and you're going to be burning that much more hydrogen. Alright, so almost out of that gravity field, and I'm actually heading towards this little cluster over here that looks like it's ice. Another thing, your ship is also going to, as long as you're in the cockpit, it will recharge your oxygen and hydrogen because of the O2H2 generator on board. So that's nice, and you can also hop out of your ship in space with at least one hydrogen tank and one oxygen tank on your person. That way it'll keep things generated or recharged for you. And you also make sure that you have your helmet on when you're out in space, otherwise you're going to die. But the 5,000 or the 5 kilograms of ice that I threw into the ship to get out here is gone already before I even got out of the gravity field. So definitely make sure you bring enough ice with you for your ship to recharge. But if you don't, if you make it out into space and you're like, dang, I only have 50 hydrogen left, that's not the end of the world, as long as you have power. Which right now, because the hydrogen or the H2O2 generator is not running, I have 3 days worth of power. I'm going to turn my dampeners back on, just so I don't go flying all over the place. But what I'm going to do is, I'm pretty sure that this is an asteroid of ice or something. And you can see now that my O2H2 generator is not charging anymore. My consumption is going down, or my consumption is a lot higher. But it looks like this asteroid right here is ice. So what you do, you come up, get close, and once you're close, you turn your dampeners back on, slow down. You get close, come to a complete stop, turn your dampers back off so you're not wasting stuff. Hop out. Your helmet should come on its own. Sometimes it doesn't. Turn your helmet on, you got your jetpack, and this looks like it's ice. So you go ahead and fly your little person over to here and mine some of this up. Yep. And yep, that's the other mod that I have on. I know that's probably loud with me drilling, but look at that. You have 5,000 ice again. The other mod I have is automatic ore pickup, so that's nice. There you go. Get yourself a full inventory and figure out where you left your ship. There it is. Wow. Make sure that you don't lose track of your ship. Is it moving? I don't think it's moving. Yeah. Don't lose track of your ship. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. So, once you go ahead and collect some ice, go ahead and throw that back into your inventory. It's going to go move into your generator again. And while you're generating the ice, or turning the ice into hydrogen, your battery goes back to, so 9 hours left if I'm like generating the ice that whole time. Then I can be out here for like 9 hours. Not too bad, just off that one little battery. Or if you're not generating any ice at the time, then it said like 3 days or something. Yeah. So hydrogen-based ships like this don't use very much power at all, which is nice. So now that you're in space, you know, you can kind of just explore. As long as you stay out of that zero gravity field, then you can go ahead and fly around. With your dampers off, you know, you go a little bit, like you thrust a little bit, and that's it. Because there's no gravity, you can float forever, literally. So right now, if I just turned all of my thrusters off, which I can do, is whatever direction you're pointing at that you thrusted towards, that's it. You will stay at that speed forever, which is nice. So you don't use nearly as much hydrogen when you're in space as when you do in the atmosphere. Which, if you're going to be staying on Earth all the time, then, you know, use atmospheric thrusters. Those are really nice. They use power, but they're nice. You don't have to waste all that ice and everything. Power, you can just recharge with the wind turbines and you're good. But if you want to come into space, 100% hydrogen thrusters by far. Even if you're staying in space, the hydrogen thrusters are still more powerful than the ion thrusters, which the ion thrusters use a lot of power. So if you have a ton of ice, you're good to go. Just like that asteroid back there that was made of ice. You know, just harvest one of those up and you're set. You're going to be good for a while. So 8,000 left, not too bad. So that's one thing you can do. You fly around, collect some ice here and there. It looks like there's another asteroid to the left that is also made of ice. Turn your thrusters back on. Kind of get going 100%. There we go. So I'm going to get to this asteroid over here. Or let's go to this one. Now take a look at this guy. And I'm probably not going to find any uranium. It doesn't happen like that. You have to explore quite a few asteroids. But, you know, you just come up, turn your dampers back off, come in nice and slow. This asteroid might have a cave on it. Actually, I see some gold already. I'm pretty sure that's gold. Or maybe nickel down on the right side of it. Once you get close, turn your dampers back on. And that way you'll slow down and you have more control. This looks like something. Some nickel or some gold maybe. What are you? That's nickel, right? Yep. And is this also nickel over here? Yeah, that's nickel as well. So when you're exploring these asteroids, you can see my hydrogen is just going down like crazy again. So gotta be a little bit careful because you don't want to run out of hydrogen. Come in nice and easy. We'll take a look a little bit closer into this indent and see if there's anything useful. Doesn't look like there's much of anything else in here. But that's pretty much, that's what you do. You know, you find asteroids, you go around and see if you can find some good stuff. You gotta go into the holes and everything. But, you know, once you're in space, definitely take it easy. Don't burn off too much hydrogen. Fly around with your dampers off as much as you can, and you'll be good. And another thing also, but one thing that I didn't do, and you need to make sure that you do when you go into space, make sure that you have a waypoint on your base on Earth, or you'll end up like me right now where I don't know where that base that I built was. So I pretty much just have to, you know, just fly back to Earth and hope that I can find it. But make sure that you have a waypoint on your base. You know, you start the game and you find a spot where you're going to make a base, put a waypoint down so that you don't lose it when you go to explore, because that would really suck. But now I'm going to go ahead and come back into the atmosphere. And since I started this creative, there was that little Earth base that was made, and that antenna should pop up at some point. But go ahead and come back into Earth. Once the gravity starts coming, you'll want to be a little bit careful. Well, with the limiting of speed on without mods. I don't think you can come in too fast. Maybe you can. Little kitty, do not go on my keyboard, thank you. So you gotta be careful coming in. Don't go too fast, which it looks like it's not gonna go too fast. And you just come in and be careful once you get close to the ground. Let me go ahead and come in a little bit further and you'll see what I mean. Alright, so I did locate approximately where I came from, which is right down there, about 38 kilometers. So I'm going to let the gravity pull me, because I am in the atmosphere. Let the gravity pull me down a little bit and make our way down to our signal here. So all I'm doing right now is, as soon as I hit the gravity field, my dampers are all off, and I pointed my ship towards where the Fredney signals are, which is approximately where we left from, and I let the gravity pull me in, so it's slowly pulling me down. I'm maintaining speed because of the gravity, and I'm not burning any hydrogen until I start to thrust forward a little bit. Then I'll start to burn the hydrogen. What I'm trying to get as close to where we came from as possible. So I'll turn my dampers on for a second, get some forward thrust going, and then turn them back off. And that'll start getting me going forward towards the signal again. The biggest thing without mods, you want to keep an eye on your hydrogen consumption, your quantity. You don't want to run out, especially when you're coming back into the atmosphere. Otherwise, you're going to lose all your thrusters and you're going to crash and die, and your ship's gonna blow up and you're not gonna have anything. So definitely be careful and conserve your hydrogen. Up just like that. It's going back into the 40s, trying to get as close to the base as possible, anywhere that you can land the ship. So approaching the Earth is definitely something that you have to do carefully as well. I haven't quite gotten it down. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit close to the ground before I'm even back at the base. So you gotta be really careful with that. Try to get as close as we can. Dampers back off. I want to look around and see if I can see where I took off from. We're showing nickel over there, and that's about 3,000 away. I think this nickel beacon here is close to where I took off from. So I'm going to come down in this direction. I think that's where I came from. So burning more. We'll turn our dampers back on. Another thing you can do on the ship too, you don't have to have only one H2O2 generator. You know, I could stick 2, 3 of them in that spot next to each other, and even that would help quite a bit. Turn my dampers back off again. So then, you know, you come back from space. I'm coming in a little bit steep. Got 29%, 28%. Keep the dampers on when you're landing, and then just come in nice and easy. You know, you got your lights so you can see, and then you just come down nice and gentle, nice and easy, and then adjust your angle so you can see where you're coming down. Oh, there we go. So that's the only thing that sucks is you gotta kind of get close. We're running out of hydrogen. There we go. Line up, ready to connect to space and back with a very simply built ship. I think if I could do something different, I would probably put another H2O2 generator right behind this one, and then have the tank, and then I would have twice the production on board, and the one battery would still be plenty for even 2 or even 3 H2O2 generators. And also, what you should do, because you got the cargo container on the back, and then you have the inventory of the generators themselves, which I don't think is a lot, but it's actually not that bad. O2 generator, you can put 10,000 liters in one generator itself. So if you filled both of those up, before you left, and then even some in your cockpit too. Your cockpit has inventory, the connector has inventory, and then the medium cargo container also has inventory. So if you fill those things up, then go fly off, by the time you're coming back to Earth, you'll have burnt off, you know, your cargo container, the connector, cockpit, and just have your 2 O2 generators full when you come back to Earth, and then you'll have, you know, the room for all the stuff you found, uranium and platinum and all that stuff. So that's what I would do. That's what I normally do when I go into space for the first time, is make sure that I'm loaded up on ice. And ice you can easily find on Earth. You know, if you spawn somewhere, you're like, oh, you know, I'm in the hills and there's no ice. I don't see any ice. There's always mountains. Like there's a mountain right there and there's some over there. Yeah, they're kind of far away, but I mean, you get a few hydrogen tanks and then you can fly on your person, which you're gonna burn a bit of hydrogen this way too. But as long as you have the tank, you just fly out to the mountain. And then once you get out here, you see all these little snow patches and stuff. Under these snow patches is ice. So you just drill down, and even though it's just snow, you still get ice. So there's 1500 ice right there. And you just dig out inside this ice, or snow. You don't get quite as much ice as you would if you were actually drilling ice, but sometimes if you dig down enough, maybe not right here, but sometimes if you dig down deep enough, you'll actually hit like ice ore. But even early game, if you drill all the snow, you will get ice. So you just do that, you stockpile it, get enough of it, and load it into your ship, you'll be good. And actually, so ice. All of the lakes that spawn on Earth are ice. Very weird, there's no water, but there's always ice. So these lakes like right here, and they're really easy to find because they stand out quite a bit. If you find yourself a lake, then you are set on ice forever, literally. You mine all of this out, I will be extremely impressed. But if you find yourself a lake from where you spawn, you'll never need ice again. This whole lake is ice. So if I drill this, that'll fill my inventory so much faster. And then you got 8,000 ice. That's pretty much it for this tutorial. That's how you get to space and how you make a simple space-bound ship. I hope it helps for those who were looking for help. I really do hope it helps. Let me know if there's any way I can improve these videos, and I will see you guys later.